get this started. Episode 5. Trial time. It's been a whole day since I played this game. I don't remember nothing. She killed somebody and she's admitted it, so for some reason we're defending her. You know, if you admit it, you just skip the trial, dog. How did the investigation go yesterday, Mr. Wright? Frankly, there are still a lot of gray areas. Or rather, the whole thing is one big gray area. Don't worry about me, no matter what the outcome. I'm ready to accept my fate. I believe in you, sis. Mr. Wright, let me offer you a word of advice. Yes? A defense attorney should never believe their client. The defendant is called to trial because they are suspected of wrongdoing. Never forget that. The Sky, you remind me a lot of Mia. But there is one decisive difference between you and her. And that is, you're not a defense attorney. Oof. I believe it's almost time for the trial. Good luck, Mr. Wright. My first trial without a Fae helping me. No one's gonna bail me out this time. I'll be alone in there. So I'll have to discover the truth all by myself. Let's do it, Mr. Wright. I'll be with you the whole way. About that, we're gonna put you in the audience stand or something like that. We can't be having you interrupt. I need to press the A button. Also, do that preview being that big. Court is now in session for the trial of Miss Lana Sky. The defense is ready, Your Honor. The prosecution has been ready for a while, Your Honor. Edgeworth. Why you gotta do that, man? It's been 2 months, but I haven't been in a courtroom since his trial. Hope that personal feelings will not be a part of the proceedings today, Mr. Wright. I will choose the path I think is right, regardless of what those around me might say. The judgment to be made here is in our hands, not those of anyone else. Very well, Mr. Edgeworth. Your opening statement, please. Chief Prosecutor Lana Sky has committed an unpardonable crime. Not only this, but she was rash enough to commit it in the prosecutor's office lot. Wow, much more forceful in person. I suddenly feel like confessing to everything. However, she will now pay for her rashness with her life. There was a witness to her crime. A professional witness. Well then, call your first witness, Mr. Edgeworth. The prosecution calls its first witness, Miss Angel Starr, to the stand. The cough-up queen. Haven't I seen you somewhere before? You ordered the caviar lunch, right? Caviar! Never eaten caviar before. The judge is really wolfing it down. Ah, and for you, I have a Fiesta Bowl. Thanks. Will the witness state her name and profession? And you, sir? Did you order the fingerprint lunchbox? Too early for lunch. Your name and profession, please. Well, Your Honor, how does it taste? Well, this is why everyone raves about caviar. It's so tasty it hurts. I always thought caviar would taste like pickled tapioca. What the heck does pickled tapioca taste like? That's what I want to know. Name, profession, now. Me? The name is Angel Starr. Don't go forgetting it. I find myself running Lunchland these days. Is that what you wanted me to say, Mr. Edgeworth? Very well, witness. Please describe the incident to us. The prosecution will wait. I'm not finished eating. Hurry it up. Very well, Mr. Edgeworth. As you know, we usually call on the police to provide a description of the crime. Your Honor, as Mr. Edgeworth has said to the court, I am a professional. Huh? What exactly does that mean? Until 2 years ago, Miss Angel Starr was a special investigator with the police. She was a first-rate homicide detective. What? Miss Starr was a detective? Aha! I know who you are. Cough Up. Cough Up Queen Angel Star, Your Honor. Long time no see. Very well. You may continue with the description, Miss Star. Who is this lady? If I might have the court's attention over here. A star detective? Detective Angel? Angel Star? I don't know. I don't know about that one, but you're probably right. The parking lot at the prosecutor's office is divided into 2 blocks. A block is for the prosecutor's office personnel. B block is for visitors and clients. A chain divider separates the 2 blocks. I suppose that's to keep visitors from taking up prosecutors' spaces, yes? The crime took place by a car in the back of A block, in the car's trunk. The killer stabbed the victim with this knife and went to drive the body out. How are you supposed to park in that parking spot if someone else is in the parking spot next to that? This seems ridiculous. And why is there a chain divider? Like, why don't there just be a wall if you're not supposed to go through it? Unfortunately for her, there was a witness, and an arrest was made on the spot. And who was this valiant witness? Why, it was me, Your Honor. Okay. Witness, did you see the very moment of the crime? Of course, Your Honor. Immediately after that, I apprehended the chief prosecutor. Seems rather cut and dry, doesn't it? Well, Mr. Wright? I can't agree on principle, Your Honor. Seems that some poor losers are unwilling to accept the truth, Your Honor. Shall I proceed to crush what little hope they have remaining? If you can, and give them your worst, Miss Starr. Ventilation, maybe? Could be. Wait, are they talking about me? Somehow, I always knew a day like this would come. I was on my way to deliver a lunchbox to my boyfriend when I sensed something. Perhaps it was my finely honed detective's intuition at work. Through the wire fence, I saw the chief prosecutor standing next to a garish car. The chief prosecutor was holding a knife in her right hand. Then she thrust the pointy tip of the knife into Detective Goodman's chest. Bringing a lunchbox to your boyfriend, how touching. As you can see, there is no room for doubt. The key point of your testimony seems to be nothing other than the point of the knife which you saw being stabbed into Detective Goodman. So, how does it feel to be so utterly crushed? Still thinking about that. It's merely a flesh wound, Mr. Wright. Very well, Mr. Wright, you may cross-examine the witness. Bring it! Alright, somehow I always knew this day would come. Yeah, I don't know. Press that. How did you know? I respect the prosecutor's basic abhorrence of crime, yet their methods are ugly and twisted. Twisted methods will always lead to tragedy. The lunch lady's uninformed opinion is duly noted. Given that they are used to erasing inconvenient evidence at their whim, killing off a detective that knew too much is merely an extension of that. Star, do you have something personal against prosecutors? Felt that I had found my dream job when I became an investigator, and if I hadn't been laid off by those prosecutors over there, I'd still be one. Laid off? He was fired. To me, prosecutors are nothing more than worms. That said, I'm a pro, as you know. My testimony is unbiased and flawless. Very well. You may continue, Miss Starr. Super suspicious. I was on my way to deliver a lunchbox to my boyfriend. What time? His boyfriend. He's a detective? Not that boyfriend. The security guard. That boyfriend? You have several? Yes. This boyfriend, that boyfriend, and the other boyfriend. Care to join? The yet another boyfriend position is still open for applicants. I'll stick with the lunches, thanks. Note to self, the judge had to think before replying. The security guard room is in the lot in A block. It's up on the second level, so you can see everything from there. That would be the room with the security sign. Incidentally, did you bring your lunch boxes by car? Since I'm a visitor now, I parked in B block. Well, she was in B block when she witnessed the crime. I sensed something. Perhaps it was my finely honed detective's intuition at work. You sensed something? So you're saying you had a premonition of the murder? It felt like, how would you say? Oh yes, it was like the feeling you get when you view a pumpkin chock full of seeds. I have no idea what that means. Speaking of a detective's intuition, wasn't the victim, Mr. Bruce Goodman, also a detective? Yes, well, he was like a young cheese. A young cheese? A pale white cheese, not yet tangy with experience on the streets. A greenhorn. And I must be hard yellow, or hard, yellowed, and sharp as a tack. Yeah, with the odor of an old cheese to match. In any case, there, in the lot, I felt something stirring in the back of my mind. Through the wire fence, I saw the chief prosecutor standing next to a garish car. By garish car, you mean Mr. Edgeworth's car, yes. Mr. Edgeworth? Incidentally, the knife which the victim was stabbed was also Mr. Edgeworth's. How do you know that? Wasn't it? Indeed it was. What an odd case this is. And the person you saw, you are sure it was the defendant. I saw her from no further than 30 feet away. I am certain it was her. She's telling the truth, we're doomed. Let's just do what we can. Even if we don't have any proof, we can always nitpick. Witness, in your testimony you clearly stated the following. Prosecutors are nothing more than worms. Ergo, you are a biased witness. You might want to keep those silly opinions to yourself in the future, rookie. Huh? Rookie? Unless you're willing to risk the consequences of doubting me. I'll fry you like a fritter. Crispy on the outside, chewy on the inside. That was inspiring. I believe I've heard that tagline elsewhere. Could you... or you could cry plagiarism. I may be relegated to the lowly post of lunch lady, but my instincts are honed. A photograph? You took this? The moment I witnessed the crime, my reflexes took over, and snap, I took a picture. In fact, one of my lunch boxes is rigged with a camera. Suppose that's more exciting than just hanging it around your neck. Witness, why am I only seeing this photograph just now? Think I'd show it to you, a prosecutor? Think again. My boyfriend works in the photography division of criminal affairs. Well, this is most certainly the defendant. Uh-oh, that is unmistakably Lana Skye. So what was the defendant doing at the time? Chief prosecutor was holding a knife in her right hand. But... okay, we'll just continue pressing first. Tell me more about this knife that the suspect was carrying. Hold on a second. Alright, there is no knife in her hand. Well, I'd say the blade was about 4 inches long. Is that right, Mr. Edgeworth? Is your knife... or it is your knife, after all. Yes, that's about right. Prosecutors are, by nature, well versed in the location of a man's vital organs. I'm sure it was easier than boiling an egg for my egg salad surprise set. You can't testify as to her ability to kill an egg. I mean a person. Perhaps a chicken salad set would have been a better metaphor. But the defendant was holding a knife, what then? And she thrust the pointy tip of the knife into Detective Goodman's chest. Tell the court why you didn't try to stop this crime. You did see her raise the knife to strike, no? The defense has a point. Unfortunately, by the time I realized what was going on, it was already too late. Too late? Yes. The next moment, the chief prosecutor brought down the murder weapon. I see. It's only a flesh wound, Mr. Wright. We can make it. Said that before. Anything else? Scientifically speaking, the star's testimony is flawless. Sounds pretty fatal to me. What do we do? Is this it? My sister guilty? Let's just keep our heads cool and press the witness a bit, shall we? For some reason, having her panicking next to me makes me calmer. Don't smile like that. Okay. But why didn't the security room see anything? I didn't get any times from her. I didn't know I could do this. Must be the victim's blood, right? Either that or Edgeworth cut himself peeling an apple. What's Edgeworth doing with a knife like this anyway? Hey, maybe he spends his weekends roughing it out wild. Edgeworth in the wild? I think my fruit peeling theory is more likely. Are you kidding? I always pictured him as an outdoorsman. Well, there's a scary thought. Alright, nothing more about the knife. I guess I should check everything, you know, because stuff. You never know, I guess. Hey, check it out. There's a metal plate here. Looks like the names of all the previous recipients are engraved on it. Wow, one guy's listed a bunch of times. Von Karma. Guessed he must be a foreigner? Yeah, that's probably it. Well, wherever he's from, he must have been an amazing prosecutor. I'd like to meet this Mr. Von Karma sometime. When she says it, his name does kind of have a ring to it. Okay. Nothing there. Like, raw talk, I don't really know what I'm gonna counter her testimony with. That's why I'm doing this in the first place. Name and ID number written here. Sergeant Bruce Goodman. Okay, that's the ID number. Wonder why they only use numbers for IDs. What else would they use? Letters, silly. For the reason we have a written language in the first place. True. Sergeant Bruce Goodman. ID Yabba Dab. See? Wouldn't that be better? Yabba Dab? Well, it does have a certain ring to it. Exactly my point. Doesn't take much to amuse her. Ooh, I can check my attorney's badge? It's crazy. Miles Edgeworth, 1712. This is dated the day of the crime. Murder took place 3 minutes before, or 3 minutes after Edgeworth parked his car. Only he was held up at a couple extra red lights. He wouldn't have been caught up in this whole affair. Perhaps. Just goes to show you, you never know what'll happen when you run a yellow light. And yeah, that's one of the big problems I'm having right now is that she didn't provide any times. Alright, so between 4 p.m. and 5:30. Loss of blood. Wound was caused by a 4.5-inch knife. Single stab wound was found. She said about 4 inches, I think. Moment of the crime as photographed by Angel Star. Alright, so let's go ahead and save. I guess I'm going to press the photograph that she took. I'm going to try this one, I guess. Here we go. And you witnessed this. You saw Miss Sky stab the victim with the knife. As I've already said, yes. I swear it on my finest salmon swirl lunch. Sure, that is a fine lunch. But isn't that odd? Look at this photograph. This is the photograph you took of the very moment of the crime, is it not? And why is Miss Sky not holding a knife? Mr. Edgeworth, your thoughts? Objection. That had to be the weakest objection ever, Edgeworth. Yet, it was still stronger than your ever-feeble mind, Mr. Wright. What do you mean, Mr. Edgeworth? This photo was not taken the moment before the stabbing. This was taken the moment after the stabbing. And how can you tell that? Blood splatter. Huh? See the dark crimson stains on the chief prosecutor's coat? But it's a black and white photograph. Ah, yes. It's hard to tell, but this could be blood. Well, Mr. Wright, I see no problem here. No problem, except you. Mr. Wright, are you going to just sit there and take that kind of abuse? You got a better idea? Yeah, let's keep going, I guess. Wait, that contradicts what the witness said in her testimony. Namely, that she took a picture the moment she witnessed the crime. Well, it seems I was slightly unclear. My apologies. That's it? If you run out of lunch, you order seconds. Problem solved. If you don't like it, try ordering the jumbo-sized lunch from the get-go. Good advice. I'm not sure I understood it, but good advice. I didn't have time to stop her. Prosecutor Sky was cold, calculating like a robot. She killed without pain or remorse. It was a premeditated murder. Premeditated? How do you know? Look at the chief prosecutor's hands in that photograph. Well, are those gloves? Surgical gloves made of thin rubber, most likely. Why would she have those on? Hold on, dog. If it was not premeditated, she would not be wearing those gloves. Gloves do seem to tell a tale of premeditation. Premeditated murder, a serious offense. Witness, add this to your testimony. Murder was planned. Rubber gloves prove it. What if she was just in the habit of wearing gloves, like driving gloves? Gloves were admitted as evidence when the defendant was arrested. They were rubber gloves of the kind used for autopsies. In other words, when the chief prosecutor came to the crime scene, he came to do murder. The only possible conclusion one can make. Oh yes, the only possible conclusion. Everything was planned. It was a premeditated crime. Impressive. I'm sorry they took you off the force, Miss Starr. This is bad. She's got them thinking this was all planned. If she can prove this claim, the trial's already over. Got to think of a way to show that this wasn't premeditated. Only a flesh wound, Mr. Wright. We can make... Oh, okay. Alright, so I've got to... Gotta prove that it wasn't premeditated. Unfortunately, there was a phone call. Afterwards. Not 100% sure what would disprove it. Maybe the parking? No. What disproves? Or what helps prove or leads the narrative to saying that it was an accident? And I still don't know what that is. What's my best guess? You know, pass was your idea too? Yeah, the only problem is I don't see this saying it was an accident. I would think the car, like putting him into the trunk, was maybe accidental convenience or, you know, something like that, but that's really all I got on that. Let's go ahead and save. You don't have to prove it was an accident, just that it wasn't all planned. Okay, then I think if we go with that route, then I think I can present the parking stub to say that, you know, the car was just happened to be there. It looks like that was a no. Life is hard. Let's go through some of the rest of her testimony here real quick. You might be super wrong, you were super wrong. I mean, to be fair, I was thinking that too. Alright, so she knew it would come on the way to deliver a lunchbox to the boyfriend. Send something, perhaps it was my finely honed detective's intuition at work. Through the wire fence, I saw the chief prosecutor standing next to a garish car. Murder was planned. Definitely that last piece of testimony, the game is pointing hard at it. Alright, my next thing here is the cell phone. For some reason she called Emma, and if you were planning a murder, you wouldn't just call someone like that. So try that. All right. Like I failed in that regard as well. I'm just gonna load to get my HP back because screw this HP bar. Maybe the knife. The knife, you know what? The knife might be a good idea as well, because if it was in his car didn't get there until approximately 3 minutes before the murder. So what else was she gonna murder him with? Oh, looks like he got it. Witness, do you know what this is? Are you trying to test me? I sell boxed lunches for a living, you know. That's a knife, the knife. The knife that was in Mr. Edgeworth's trunk. Indeed, it is my knife. Correction, you have all the ideas. What's with this case? The bloody murder weapon, a red car, all belonging to the prosecutor there? The defendant is the chief prosecutor for the district, right? Mommy, our prosecutor's bad people. The defense has a request. We ask that the witness provide an accurate testimony. What's that, rookie? In your testimony, you stated that Lana Skye planned this murder, and that's why she was wearing those special gloves. Seems like a natural conclusion to me. The gloves do indicate planning. However, why would she not also prepare the most important thing, the murder weapon? Oh. This knife just happened to be in the trunk of that car. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're going to plan a murder, you don't forget the weapon. Order! Great, now the tide is turning in our favor. Great show, Mr. Wright. My sister's as good as free. Right. I believe the next lunch you'll be eating is humble pie. What? I hope you weren't deluding yourself into thinking that the tide has turned. Not over such a trifling detail. But this shoots a hole in the whole premeditated theory. The prosecution could care less if it was premeditated or not. The only one who seems to care is that lunch lady over there. The defendant, Lana Skye, murdered a detective with a knife. That is the only thing the prosecution need prove, nothing else. Very good, Mr. Prosecutor. I suppose you think you're clever now. Well, you know as well as I do that she planned on killing him. It was planned. If it wasn't, why would she have been wearing? I believe I'd like to hear your testimony again. Witness, please tell us only what you saw, not what you thought. How dare you? My powers of deduction are not to be underestimated. Really now. Lana Skye intended to murder Detective Goodman again. You're not doing this right. That's why she called the victim all the way to the prosecutor's office. Sure, the chief prosecutor had a grudge against the victim. Nothing else could drive that human machine to plunge the knife in again and again. Again and again? There's only one stab wound. The victim was summoned from the police department to the prosecutor's office. Does sound a lot like premeditation, doesn't it? So if I ordered a pizza, does that mean I'm planning to kill the delivery boy? In any case, the defense may now cross-examine the witness. Yeah, I wonder why this chick got fired, right? He is crazy. I just went over this, lady. You said that, but you haven't told us how you know. That's what I'm about to tell you, rookie. I believe what she just said was a mere prelude to the story she's about to tell. Try not to interrupt her again. Rookie. Never interrupt a storyteller. It's like pulling a bun out of the oven half-baked. Something's half-baked here, alright, and it's you. Try not to confuse the defense, witness. They're not very quick on their feet. Now, why did you believe the suspect had intentions to murder the victim? Her actions speak for themselves. Why she called the victim all the way to the prosecutor's office. You have no proof Miss Skye called him there. You have no proof that she didn't. Mr. Edgeworth, thoughts? There is no record of a call made to the defendant, Miss Lana Skye's phone. You might have written him a letter. Come on, you could have tried public phone first, at least. In any case, the victim came to the prosecutor's office, where he was murdered. I'm sure he had a reason to be there. Witness? Why do you think it was the suspect who summoned the victim that day? Sure, the chief prosecutor had a grudge against the victim. What kind of grudge? Well, I wouldn't know that. Of course you don't. That's because she didn't have a grudge. Rookie. I have a lunchbox here. Now, what's inside? How am I supposed to know? There's lunch inside. See? We all agree that there is a lunchbox here, but we don't know what's inside. A person's life is like a lunchbox with pretzels. Don't you agree? I get it. That's why my lunch was so salty. This judge isn't very good with metaphors. The suspect had a grudge against Detective Goodman. Will you tell us your basis for thinking this? It's simple. Nothing else could drive that human machine to plunge the knife in it again and again. A human machine? That's a contradiction. Really? Really, Phoenix Wright? Please. Can't you find fault with something of substance, Mr. Wright? Note to self, Mr. Edgeworth's sighs smell like citrus fruit. You say again and again, how many times did she stab him exactly? There you go. We often say chop into 1,000 pieces, but we don't actually mean 1,000 pieces. What difference does it make if the deed is done? How come she's getting mad at me? Let's just say she stabbed him several times and leave it at that. Leave it at that? This is a murder case, people. Mr. Wright, you should speak up if you have an objection, you know. Miss Starhead has turned out to be as short-tempered as she looked when we met her. Challenging her abilities as a detective really set her off. A short wick burns out the fastest. It's a scientific fact. I wonder, wouldn't it depend on the size of the candle? I mean, add more wax and even a really short wick will burn longer. Obviously, more scientific testing is required. Get bodied. Alright, so we're gonna present evidence here. Just safety save. I think I got this one. This one seems pretty obvious. Check it out one more time. A single stab wound was found. Flat out. You say she stabbed him again and again, but you couldn't have witnessed that. Are you testing me? Then I'll test you. With my moss surprise. That actually looks pretty good. I'm afraid the moss is growing under our feet as we wait, Miss Starr. Oof. What do you mean? I shouldn't have to explain this, but take a look. The autopsy report states that death was due to a loss of blood from one stab wound. You're right. Good show, Mr. Edgeworth. Hey! What a hunk. He's my hero, really. What about my objection? No one noticed? Well, witness? You got the crime scene set, right? Oh, thanks. I always believed that no one could ever mistake ketchup for blood. Now I realize that such mistakes are possible. So, you're saying you mistook something for blood? When she lifted her knife, I thought I saw blood at her breast. Splattered blood from her victim. That's why I thought she must have stabbed him at least twice. And tell us what you saw that you thought was blood. Testify. You feel like all Phoenix is doing in this case is nitpicking until the witness goes insane and goes off the rails? Probably. Her red muffler looked like blood to me. That's how ghastly the whole scene was. What the heck is a red muffler? As far as clothing. Yeah, her red muffler? Yes, like a scarf. The chief prosecutor always wears one around her neck. So she can be easily hanged at a moment's notice, I suppose. He's right. This guy was wearing a red scarf, wasn't she? But wait. Isn't it odd that you mistook that for splattered blood? Well, people often mistake my beard for a bib. A judge with a bib. That's why this place feels so much like kindergarten sometimes. That was... Really, Judge? Actually... I do think I saw some traces of blood on her chest. However, the autopsy report is clear on this matter. There was only one knife wound. Apparently Miss Starr isn't entirely sure of her own testimony. Mr. Wright, this is our chance. Chance for what, I wonder? Miss Starr has turned out to be as short-tempered as she looked when we met her. Oh, yep, challenge, okay. Alright, does this photo have... There is no scarf in this photo. Miss Starr, I demand an explanation. Witness is clearly not suited for detective work. What? The suspect was not wearing a scarf or muffler of any kind when she stabbed the victim. Bruh, stop stealing on my spotlight. And you proved it yourself. This photograph. Ah, but that can't be. Only a professional lunch lady could be so utterly clueless. Congratulations, perhaps you finally found your true calling in life. Harsh words, but good. In the end, Mr. Edgeworth prevails. What was my objection? Chopped liver? But it was there, a scarf. No, not that, but something red. Really? Edgeworth is such a kill stealer. Also has zero chill, for real. Well now, where were we? The witness has given us an entertaining interlude, but back to business. What? Very well, witness. Continue your testimony. You saw the crime and apprehended the suspect. Tell us about that. Very well. I do remember some things accurately, at least. Ultimately, we couldn't shake the most important part of her testimony. Most important part? Part where your sister stabs the victim. This next testimony might just be the moment of truth. So we're just gonna overlook the fact that she got the scarf wrong and the multiple stabbings wrong. We're just gonna overlook that. Move on. After the murder, the suspect attempted to run behind a partition off to her side. I quickly caught her and explained her rights to her and arrested her on the spot. Ah yes, when I arrested her, she mentioned the muffler. That's what had me confused in my earlier testimony. Chief Prosecutor made to escape, but against Angel Star, resistance is futile. Oh, are you Borg? She must be Borg. Think we're building up to something with this stuff? You have some idea? Okay. You are quite determined about this scarf, aren't you? I strike like a snake and bite like a cobra. That's me, Angel Star. And that wasn't a very good metaphor. First of all, a cobra is a kind of snake. Don't bother me with details unless you want to get bitten. No thanks. Note to self, Mr. Wright is weak against poisonous snake bites. The chief prosecutor tried to resist, but her efforts were in vain. She knocked my hands aside, kicked over an oil drum. An oil drum? Hard to imagine. Oh, she's beautiful, but deadly. A predator, this one. A leopard woman. Arr. Very well, Mr. Wright. Your cross-examination, if you will. I immediately want to bring up the floor plan because there's a chain fence that's blocking both parking lots. So how did she get over there? With the mirrors, I'm gonna run behind a partition to her side. Where is this partition on the floor plans? I'm sure she means this wall next to the car. That's right. There was a wall there about 6 feet high. She was obviously trying to hide herself. Quite a natural thing for a criminal to do. And what did you do then? I quickly caught her and explained her rights to her and arrested her on the spot, but you're not a police officer. You say quickly. Were you close to the suspect? As I just said, I was only 30 feet away from her the whole time. Maybe I should press her on details. Yeah. I'd like to see this on the floor plans, just to be safe. Lunchland car was... It was a visitor, thus she was parked in B block. So you witnessed the murder from here? That would make it about 30 feet from the car, yes. Is that correct, Miss Starr? Yes, that's right. But there was a chain link fence in front of you. I went over it, of course. Amazing. The cough-up queen, lunch lady athlete indeed. It would have taken her a little time to climb over the fence, though she couldn't have gotten to my sister that fast. Yeah, that fence was about 9 feet high, too. How did Niskai not get away? Ah yes, when I arrested her, she mentioned the muffler. Mentioned the muffler? What exactly did she say? If I remembered exactly, I would have told you in my testimony. Cheeky. Anyway, all I heard her say was the word muffler. Just that one word. So what you heard wasn't the suspect talking to you, but to someone else. Yes, the chief prosecutor was talking on her phone. Her phone? You can't mean... By phone, do you mean this cell phone discovered at the crime scene? Yes, ultimately. Ultimately? My memory. It's like a salmon heading upstream, you see? No, the court doesn't see Miss Starr. The chief prosecutor first attempted to use the phone hanging on the wall. On the wall? That's right. Near the car, there was an emergency phone on the wall. Apparently it was out of order. So she used her cell phone. Indeed, the emergency phone was out of order that day. Good witnessing. Witness? Good witnessing? Whatever happened to good testifying? You should, of course, add this to your testimony. Things I do to please this rookie defense attorney. Her muffler overheard during a call made to Emma. Saw it all, how she tried the phone on the wall, but had to use her cell instead. Do you think you could restate your testimony for the court? I was going to ask the same thing. I'll only say this one time, so listen close, rookies. Chief prosecutor stabbed the victim and ran behind the partition. Then she picked up the emergency phone on the wall, but it was out of order. So she pulled her own cell phone out of her pocket. And during that time, you climbed over the chain link fence. Then, when I boldly grabbed her arm, Chief Prosecutor hung up her phone. And you saw her doing this. What is it, Mr. Wright? Alright, we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna go ahead and do this one. Floor plan. Oh! Miss Starr, I have to conclude that you have a personal grudge against Miss Lana Skye. The witness is a former detective. Her testimony is unmarred by personal bias. Well, who would have thought you would be my knight in shining armor, prosecutor? You who, together with the chief prosecutor, kicked me out 2 years ago. Well, Miss Starr, this is a fatal contradiction with your testimony. How do you explain this? I don't know what you're talking about. Mess with me. I'll make you cough it all up. This is some of the worst testimony ever. It's pretty bad. Let's look at the floor plans. You said you witnessed the crime from this point. However, if that's true, you couldn't possibly have seen Miss Skye making that phone call. I believe you see what I'm getting at. That emergency phone was on the back side of this partition. If indeed you were in B block, you couldn't have seen it. Order, what is the meaning of this? It's simple, Your Honor. She's not coughing up lunch, she's coughing up lies. Quite a claim, Mr. Wright. Perhaps you will allow me a question. Tell us exactly what lie this witness has told the court. Here's where the counterattack begins. I can't afford to get this wrong. I have no idea what my counterattack's gonna be. Witness lied about... it could be a lot of these things, actually. Could have lied about what she saw. Could have lied about where she saw it. Could have lied about the order of events, potentially. I think where she saw it, I really don't want to believe she climbed over that fence. This guy tried to use the emergency phone, but it was out of order. What is significant about this fact? Nothing. Therefore, it would be pointless for Miss Starr to lie about it. Pointless to lie, I see. Let's say the witness did actually see Miss Skye using the emergency phone. It would mean Miss Starr witnessed the crime from a different location. A different location? Now that's a pointless lie if I ever heard one. Before you call my lie pointless, at least let me tell it. The photo she took has the fence in the foreground, though. So she was on the other side of it. Possibly. The climbing over the fence thing is just ridiculous. Let me ask a question to our clever wordsmith, Mr. Wright. Just where was the witness when she saw the crime? All the testimony we've heard until now points in one direction. The place from where Miss Starr witnessed this crime was here. I want to say the security room. I'm gonna do it. This is the only place where she could have been. The security guard room. Indeed, the security room is in the underground parking lot. Is well positioned. It's built on the second floor so you can see the entire lot. You would have been able to see the emergency phone from there. But why there? There are many other places where she could have seen the phone. Not in this case, Your Honor. The witness, not being part of the prosecutor's office, couldn't park in A block. The only place where she could have seen the crime and the back of the partition is here. I remember in your testimony you said you brought a lunch to your boyfriend in the security guard room, yes? Well, Miss Starr, how many years have I been getting the better of men? To think that the tables could be turned. Today, a man has gotten the better of Angel Starr. Order, witness. What have you done? You used to be a detective. You should know better. I'm not turning back. The guilty will be punished, and I'll do what I must to make sure justice prevails. The guilty? Is she talking about Miss Skye? Mr. Wright, doesn't this strike you as odd? Why did Miss Starr lie? Doesn't make sense. Huh? You could have just said she saw the crime from the security guard station. Wouldn't change anything. Exactly. This photograph tells all. It was the defendant who stabbed the victim. The truth still stands. Still stands? I disagree, Mr. Edgeworth. What? If a witness is found to be lying, they're guilty of perjury. She knows this. Oh! 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 How many people have we convicted of perjury in this here video game? She wouldn't risk that she wouldn't risk that without a good reason. So tell us what her reason was, Mr. Wright. Me? Who else? Mr. Wright, let's review what we know. Oh, hey, perjury exists? This is the biggest surprise in any case so far. I'm right there with you. Miss Starr witnessed the crime from the security guard station. But she lied and said she saw it from B block. It must make a vital difference, but what? What would change? The distance to the crime doesn't seem important. So it just has to be the angle of view because it's on the second floor. Or it's like a floor above but can still see below. So I'm going to go with angle. The angle at which she saw the crime occur would change. The angle? What do you mean? Well, the security guard station is on the second floor. And she would have sort of a more 3D view of the crime. And this is important. Why? If you'd like to reconsider, okay. Okay, next thing could be distance. Distance is important. Why? I feel like lighting really isn't important here. You think it's the lighting? I just have a feeling that it's the lighting. Made a big deal about the red muffler. Okay. I'll go with the heels option. I was gonna go with distance. We'll see how it goes. And it looks like you might have gotten it right. It's a difference in lighting. Lighting? What does that mean? Well, it means, see, the security guard station is on the second level. Oh, she would have seen the crime in better lighting conditions. Oh. Nope. Doesn't make a difference regardless. Don't buy the heels option. Changes the distance between her and the scene of the crime. My condolences, Mr. Wright. With one look at the floor plans, and it's quite clear. The distance between the scene of the crime and the guard station is 30 feet. I don't see how that would change what she could see. What she saw is not in question here. What matters is the time it would take her to reach the scene of the crime. Miss Starr, you witnessed the crime from the security guard station. Now, how long did it take you to go from there to the scene of the crime where you arrested Miss Skye? Well, witness? Yes? You ordered the squid wheels, right? The quality of my lunches has gone from low to inedible. I was bringing a PB&J lunch with fresh boysenberry jam to my boyfriend. Boysenberry for the boyfriend. He wasn't in the station, so I waited. I witnessed the crime from the glass-walled station. Before I knew what I was doing, I found myself running towards the scene. But the door was locked. I couldn't open it. Oh my gosh. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? That's why I had to go through the visitors parking in B block. I didn't even know that was there. That's quite a detour. What about hopping the fence? Probably took me at least 5 minutes to get to the scene of the crime. Oh, okay, so she hopped the fence from there. 5 minutes? That's ridiculous. This changes things considerably, monumentally. But it was that woman over there in the defendant's chair who stabbed him. I know it. I have photographic evidence. I swear it. I swear it on my finest plastic spork. You have a point, and the spork is a wonderful invention. You like another caviar lunch? Absolutely. Uh-oh. Mr. Wright, you have to do something. Do I have any evidence to stop this? 5 minutes. Yeah. If the car arrived there at 5:12 and she made a call, well, I guess... Yeah, no, she wouldn't have seen this. Do you have any evidence to stop the judge from eating another caviar lunch? And she didn't mention a time either. I think I'm gonna go with Lana's cell phone here. If she was behind the partition making the phone call, she wouldn't theoretically see it from the other side, maybe? Go ahead and save. I really don't want to save right here. How much health do I have? Try not to get caught. I'm at half health? Okay. 5 minutes between the witnessing of the murder and the arrest. Think about it. You could make pasta in that amount of time. If you like it al dente. Got lunchboxes that tie pasta into knots, rookie. A 5-minute blank. Isn't that strange? Strange? If you were a criminal, what would you do with 5 minutes, Your Honor? Well, I guess I'd flee the scene. Hey. Don't get the wrong idea. I didn't kill anyone. Well, you have the instincts of a killer. You would run. But this time was different. Miss Skye dawdled at the scene of the crime. She even had her picture taken. No true criminal would act this way. It's inconceivable. Well then, it seems we've come to the end of this testimony. The witness has a grudge against the defendant and a blank in her testimony. Mr. Edgeworth, is the next witness ready to go? Unfortunately, I appear to have overestimated this witness on account of her professional history. We did it. We screwed that can shut, Mr. Wright. That was too close. I'm afraid that the cough-up queen has been dethroned. With that, court is adjourned. Mr. Edgeworth, you ordered the squid wheels, right? That's the one she tried to foist off on me. Foist. I prefer not to take the defense team's leftovers. Anything else to say? Might be able to save you. I have decisive evidence. What was that? Is this another one of her trick lunch boxes? My apologies, but we have no further questions to ask of you, Miss Starr. Is this your jumbo lunchbox? Woohoo, a triple-decker. Out of deference to the witness's determination, I'll allow one more testimony. Let's hear about this decisive evidence. Like the Lunchland motto says, you won't be disappointed. What's she going to pull out of her lunchbox this time? Oh my gosh. All I did was prove she's a sucker. She is a sucker. And that too. I should have mentioned those 5 minutes when I wasn't looking at the crime scene. And now, to the matter of the victim's shoe. Did I not bring this up? 2 types of blood were found on the shoe. One was, of course, the victim's, and the other blood type matched that of the defendant, Miss Lana Skye. The shoe proves it. It's flawless, decisive evidence. It proves nothing. Also, how do you know it's their blood? What? There was blood found on that shoe? Try Lunchland for all your lunch and decisive evidence needs. Witness, what's the meaning of this? Why is this the first time I've heard of this evidence? Simple. As I've already said, I don't trust you with evidence, Mr. Edgeworth. That's why I took the liberty of investigating this myself. And you had blood tests performed? Didn't I mention? I have 3 boyfriends in forensics. In any case, Your Honor, I can't accept this as evidence. What? You must know the 2 rules of evidence law. Rule number 1, no evidence shall be shown without the approval of the police department. In other words, this shoe is illegal evidence, at least for the time being. Is that right, Mr. Wright? It seems so. Edgeworth sure is celebrating. Not so fast, Mr. Edgeworth. Don't forget, I used to be a detective. As I mentioned previously, the shoe has already been tested by a member of the forensics department. As you can see, it was approved by the police department as of today. Even the general public can produce official evidence, Mr. Edgeworth. Is that right, Mr. Wright? Seems so. Edgeworth is looking pretty sullen. You could at least study some evidence law, really. The prosecution's complaints notwithstanding, it appears that this evidence satisfies the first rule of evidence law. However, it seems you have yet another count against you, witness. And what about the chain of custody? Anything to ensure that the guilty are properly judged. Very well, Mr. Wright. You may cross-examine the witness. I mentioned those 5 minutes when I wasn't looking at the crime scene. Why did you lie about those 5 minutes? I guess you could say I just wanted people to look at the results. The results? How many times do I have to say this? I saw the chief prosecutor stab the victim before my very own eyes. Compared to that, the 5-minute blank means nothing. And why didn't you just tell the truth? Don't make me laugh. We're dealing with the most untrustworthy of the vile lot known as prosecutors. Falsified evidence, arranged testimonies, erasing and manipulating evidence, plus the person on the witness stand just telling complete lies so that she can get a conviction. When you fight monsters, you need to use every trick in the book. This when the suspect is admitting she did it? Yep. But false testimony is the most despicable crime of all, Miss Starr. Let's just get this over with. Wow, just let her get away with it. Now to the matter of the victim's shoe. Did I not bring this up? And you found the shoe at the scene of the crime. Wow, I really didn't think this is what he was going to go with. I thought he was going to be like, and why didn't you bring this up until now? I detained the chief prosecutor and notified the police department. I wanted to make myself useful while I was waiting for the police to arrive. So, like an ill-trained pooch, you snuck off with a shoe. I was afraid someone would erase the chief prosecutor's crime. The shoe was my secret weapon if that should happen. See this fashionable basket I have here? It carries more than lunchboxes, gentlemen. I'm happy for you and your lunchbox bag, really. In any case, you removed valuable evidence from the scene of the crime. Now tell us what you did next. I feel like that's a crime, too. 2 types of blood were found on the shoe. One was, of course, the victim's. So you brought it to the forensics department. You're going to submit something as evidence in court. You need it approved. To do that, evidence must be analyzed by a forensics expert. She got away with her little coup because she used to be a detective. The shoe does appear to have bloodstains on it. Well, the man was stabbed after all. And that blood belonged to the victim, Detective Goodman? As I said, there were 2 types of blood found on the shoe. And the other blood type matched that of the defendant, Miss Lana Skye. Notice how they said there's 2 blood types. And the other blood type matched that, like she has a sister. So it could have been the sister's blood. Can't say for sure the blood belonged to the defendant with a blood test. You claim to know something about blood tests, rookie. Well, speak up. Well, blood comes in 4 types, A, B, O, and AB. However, you can't tell from a blood test whether a murder was committed in cold blood. It's just a figure of speech, Mr. Wright. Actually, we can differentiate between millions of types with all the blood tests out there, which means that we can more or less narrow any sample of blood down to just one person, or so I hear. It's pretty specific. If I had a little more time, I would have gotten DNA test results, but they said there's very little doubt it could be anyone's but Miss Lana Skye's. So the suspect's blood was found on the victim's shoe. That ties her directly to Detective Goodman. Or the death of Detective Goodman. I was afraid he was going to say that. Who proves it? It's flawless, decisive evidence. Can't let this evidence go through without a fight. You ordered the peppered fish guts, right? Some like it hot, Mr. Wright. Some, like your client, she's in enough hot water to make a whole vat of soup. Mr. Wright, do you or don't you have a problem with this shoe? A problem? This is critical. Is there a problem with the victim's shoe? Let's find out. There's blood on here too. On the sole of the shoe? It's got to be the victim's. He must have stepped in the puddle of his own blood. Oh, it's the victim's shoe. All this blood, it's horrible. This blood might be an important clue. Aha! If there was blood on the bottom of the shoe, there would be footprints. Were there any footprints? This blood, it's my sister's, right? Appears so. Anna's right hand was bandaged when I saw her in jail. She must have cut herself at the time of the crime. Or sis. Anything on the inside of the shoe? Neil? Neil? Okay. Yeah, so where were all the footprints? Think I can save here? Seem to be in a decent spot. Oh, there's a problem. I'm not imagining things. I'd say there is one critical problem with this evidence, a clear contradiction. That gleam in your eyes. You're still young, rookie. I'd give you a peppered fish gut now, but you couldn't take the heat, could you? Let's hear what Mr. Wright has to say. What is contradictory about the victim's shoe? So what's the problem with this evidence? It is this. I wonder if you noticed. There's blood on the bottom of this shoe. Don't mess with me, rookie. Or it'll be your blood on the bottom of my shoe. Is that a threat? Indeed, there is quite a bit of blood on the bottom of the shoe. It makes sense. The victim was stabbed with a knife. What could possibly be contradictory about the blood at the bottom of the shoe? Can I use this photo? Would it be that photo, or would it be the parking lot? I think we'll go with the photo. The problem lies in the footprint. The footprint? Note the bottom of the victim's shoe is covered in blood. Then isn't it strange? Why weren't there any bloody footprints found by the scene of the crime? As you can see, there were no traces of any such footprints at the scene of the crime. That contradicts your claim about this shoe. This picture only shows part of the floor, so there could have been bloody footprints. Then where are they, Mr. Edgeworth? Because we checked the scene and found nothing of the sort. Order! Well, witness? What? Great going, Mr. Wright, but it's true that the lack of a footprint is a contradiction. But then we have to ask why there wasn't a footprint. Oh, that's true. There has to be a reason why there wasn't a footprint. Think, Mr. Wright, think. Hey, I don't know why it's not there. I'm just good at finding contradictions. What? Here we go. I see. Now I get it. Get what? Our witness is more devious than I gave her credit for. We were hoodwinked to the very end. But she slipped. There was one vital hint to the truth in her testimony. What are you talking about? Think back to when she told us about apprehending the suspect. The chief prosecutor tried to resist, but her efforts were in vain. She knocked my hands aside and kicked over an oil drum. Oh, she's beautiful, but deadly. A predator, this one. A leopard woman. Rawr. This is the worst witness ever, and that's counting the parrot. I should have read that a long time ago. That's so true. I thought this was a strange thing for the normally cool-headed chief to do. No kidding. Now, witness, allow me to ask a very simple question. This oil drum, was it empty? Oh, that? I'm not sure I like your attitude, Mr. Edgeworth. Though apparently you're not the slowest conveyor belt in Lunchbox Factory. Witness, well, was the oil drum empty? The oil drum kicked over by the chief prosecutor was brimming with water. Water? What does that mean? I don't get it, Mr. Wright? Do you want to know the reason she knocked it over? The real reason? You don't mean... Yes, the suspect knocked over that oil drum for one reason and one reason alone. To erase the bloodstains that would become evidence against her. Okay, it's a little bit of a reach. That ties things up quite nicely. The bloodstains left on the victim's shoes tie her quite clearly to this murder. Then after the deed was done, she knocked over the oil drum to erase the telltale signs. Why, that's a prosecutor's specialty, erasing evidence. That reminds me, Miss Skye's right hand was hurt. Didn't she say she cut herself when she stabbed him? Well, that's when my sister's blood had got on the shoe. Well, I see no reason to prolong this trial. Mr. Wright, do something, please. I'm working on it. What? What can I do? Your sister has confessed to the crime, and she tried to conceal it. But? Enough. There is no need to further debate. The verdict, Your Honor. Very well. But Angel Star is on the prosecution's side. She could have been lying about the water. This court finds the defendant, Miss Lana Skye. Little girl, what did you just say? Huh? Me? Did you just say that I, Angel Star, was on the prosecution's side? Oh yeah, you are. You're saying my sister hid evidence by erasing the bloody footprints. Well, I thought you'd had your fill, but here you are, demanding a second helping. Another lunchbox. Lunchbox called evidence. Wait, witness, don't tell me you have something more. The time for deliberations has passed. Any further comments, and you will be held in contempt of court. Can lawyers say that? Your threats don't scare the cough-up queen. Look at this. Oh my gosh. This is absolutely the worst witness ever. A photograph. Another photograph. I had it just in case anyone had the gall to suggest that the white shoe didn't belong to the victim. I see no room for error in this evidence. Mr. Wright, wait. Look at the asphalt in this photo. I'm gonna look at other things in this photo while I got the chance. The muffler! Look at the muffler! Hey, it's clearly wet. Erasing the last trace of doubt from the court's mind. Immediately after the murder, the crime scene was washed with water. Sorry, Mr. Wright. I guess I couldn't help after all. Not your fault. I knew I couldn't win this case from the beginning. It seems this is what your sister wanted anyway. Just go ahead and save real quick. You know, just one of those safety saves. Sorry, Mia. Right, wet or not. Don't be so quick to throw in the towel. Get yourself up off the asphalt. Take another good look. Don't give up. Not until the bitter end. This is the last piece of evidence. Very well. This time I'd like to declare a verdict for good.
Objection!
Your Honor, wait. What is it with you people? Can't I hand down my verdicts in peace anymore? Whatever it is, can it wait? No, it can't. Then it will be too late. Look at this photograph. The last one submitted. This trial isn't over until we give each piece of evidence proper consideration. So, Wright, are you saying there's a problem with the latest piece of evidence? Yeah. I'll think later. Yeah, there's a problem. Right or wrong, I've got to go ahead with this. I suppose since we've come this far, we should give every claim a fair shake. Very well, Mr. Wright. Show the court the problem with this photograph. I really want to go with this. And I think I'm going to go with that. Problem in this photograph is here. What's this? There's something poking out of the car's muffler. Wait just a moment, Mr. Edgeworth. Your Honor, you just said muffler. However, I see no trace of a muffler or scarf of any kind in this photograph. A muffler is also a part of a car or motorcycle, Your Honor. Just think of it as part of the exhaust system, a pipe. I see, and I see. What's that suspicious-looking cloth sticking out of the car's muffler? But what if there's something sticking out of the muffler? What does that have to do with this case? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Objection! Sorry, Miss Starr, but it's not going to be that easy. In fact, you've already told us why this is important to the case. You said as much in your testimony. What? Let's hear what Mr. Wright has on his mind. Tell us why you think this piece of cloth in the muffler is related to this case. Well, I guess I would have to use this photo again. Not the photo? Ah, the phone call. Miss Starr, recall your testimony for the court. Ah, yes, when I arrested her, she mentioned the muffler. That's what had me confused in my earlier testimony. Muffler. Could it be that the muffler you heard mentioned was actually this exhaust pipe? If so, that means this piece of cloth is vital evidence. Well, it seems we will have to suspend the proceedings. Suspend? I find myself wondering about that piece of cloth. If we leave any question unanswered here, we do a disservice to the law. Have the car at the crime scene inspected at once, and bring me that cloth. The verdict will wait until after we've seen all the evidence. Agreed? I suppose so. Woo! That was close. But we made it, at least for now. This court will adjourn for a 30-minute recess. It's lunchtime after all. He's still hungry? Imagine being a scriptwriter for this game and being like, yeah, she's gonna say, ah, yog. Good stuff. Let's see, it's 7:30. I think I'm gonna wrap it up here for today. Yeah, I'm gonna wrap it up here for today. You never know what's gonna, creep up on the rest of this. The only problem is, I gotta wait a whole weekend. A small part of me kind of wants to stream over the weekend. I don't know. Weekend streams are always nebulous, but if the urge arises, there could potentially be a stream this weekend, possibly to finish Phoenix Wright. But I don't know. I got to go grocery shopping and all that other good stuff. So anyways, thanks for watching. Appreciate it. If I don't stream this weekend, I'll be back Monday, 6 o'clock p.m. Pacific to continue with Phoenix Wright. And if I do stream this weekend, we'll most likely do at least like 1 or 2 sections, I guess, and see where that takes us. So, yeah. See you the next time I see you. Peace.